Hey, thanks everyone for joining us again as we continue to talk about reimagining events. In the past, we've talked about reimagining digital events, but in this case, let's just call it an event. Hey, today we're going to talk about virtual platforms. So as you know, there's a number of vendors out there that offer virtual event platforms. They're very cool. They, in many cases, replicate the actual form factor of the kinds of personal, real, live events that we do. So when you look at platforms, you have some options. But don't forget, those options, while they were modeled after live events, you don't have to use them exactly that way. Just because it's a keynote doesn't mean it should be a 90-minute keynote or a 120-minute keynote. You can reimagine and have a bunch of small segment keynotes that are along the way. Just because it's a breakout session doesn't mean you should have your standard 45-minute breakout session. You could reimagine those too and put a bunch of pieces and parts together. So what do you think about these platforms that we use to put on virtual events? Are they worth it?
That's a good question. Luckily, I don't have to pay for them. I think the thing to think about, I want to make 2 points. Number one is, it's a matter of, look, there are probably more different virtual/digital platforms than there are real ones, and different ways of doing things. So it's worth looking at the range of options, considering whether you really need to use an external tool or platform at all. This is not a binary choice. Eventually, the world is going to come back to some sort of normality or normalcy, depending which word you care to use. And at that point, I think many people are just going to rush back to booking big convention centers. It's not a binary decision. There are many reasons that we might want to keep using, even when you come back to face-to-face meetings, some level of online capability. I think keeping the best of what we're learning to do, along with the best of what we used to have, is something. Now, that said, there are many reasons that people do go to shows. So, Christoph, I'll let you talk about that.
If you think about a show or any event, whether a user conference or one of the big trade shows that the whole industry meets at, typically there is a form of pattern recognition. You know that there is going to be a keynote. You expect some education sessions. You expect those dreaded breakouts where product manager goes on for 90 minutes or whatever the time frame is. So pattern recognition, in a sense, gives you this benefit of normalcy. You recognize in a digital event that these are sessions that mean something to you. Back to Dave's point, I think you can really shake it up. You can change things a little bit. You don't have to respect the exact same rules. It's an opportunity to improve, an opportunity to change.
There's definitely value in using the context of a virtual event. There's definitely value in these platforms. But I love what Mark said about, look at the best of both. You have the opportunity to create a hybrid experience here. You have the opportunity to take advantage of some pattern recognition, but exploit the best of both. Hey, if you'd like to chat more with us about some ideas around this, give us a shout. Thanks for joining us today.